it's Courtney Joe. This is your Factory to Fitness series, and I have made this special episode for you called Meal Edition. I'm going to talk to you about all the different meals that I've been eating over the past couple of weeks, how it is I count my macros, I log my food, and just some other things that I have learned over the past couple of weeks about what kinds of foods to eat, what I'm sensitive to, what I should eliminate from my diet, and what I've learned from my trainer. And I just really hope that you are able to take what I have learned into account for your own journey. So first, let's talk about macros. What are macros? Macros are protein, carbs, and fat. And so the specific diet that I am working on right now is a high protein intake diet. And so I want to eliminate as many carbs as I can, no starchy carbs whatsoever. So that means no french fries, potatoes, chips, noodles, any of rice, any of those kinds of things that would be a starchy carb. Now I can have sweet potato. And then I am having a low carb diet, and where I get my carbs from the most are the fruits and vegetables that I eat, mainly the vegetables. And so let's go ahead and get started. Now, coming up, I'm getting ready to show you what I looked like most of my life. I have always been overweight. This was whenever I was probably 13 or 14, maybe 15 years old, because I was 11 when my brother Jake was born. And not only that, but I was an alcoholic at the time. Yeah, I know, right? I was a very young drinker. And why would my parents allow me to drink? Well, it wasn't really like that. It was more like I would sneak out and drink in the neighborhoods when I was going out playing with friends. Same thing with cigarettes. I mean, it wasn't like my parents were buying me alcohol or anything like that, but it was available to me because in the small community I come from, it's just what everybody did. They drank and they smoked weed and they did drugs, and so I did that too. But when my grandparents came to get me, they brought me to Indiana, took me in, and gave me a sober home. My addiction at that time became food, and I started becoming a couch potato and eating all the time. So this was a few years later when I was 17. Not quite 18 yet, because whenever I turned 18, I got on drugs really bad, got kicked out of my home. But at this time, I had some really good friends, and I was still very heavy. So I was about 17 here in this picture. I was just starting to get back into, drinking again. But I had spent a couple of years just being a couch potato, working for my grandpa, going to school, and just eating a lot of food. It was like an emotionally coping thing that I did. But so I was never really happy with myself. I can remember writing Fat Camp at MTV. I don't know if you guys remember that reality TV series, but Fat Camp on MTV, I used to write them and say, hey, I'm so unhappy with my body and I just want to be smaller. Can you please help me? But, I found another way. I ended up doing a lot of drugs. And so you can see here on the picture on the left, I had lost 100 pounds in 1 year. And so this was whenever I was probably getting ready to turn 19. Again, when I turned 18, my family kicked me out. I was on the streets all the time doing drugs, and I could not stop. So they were like, well, we're not enabling this behavior anymore. And I'm so glad that, look how small I got. I really, really lost a lot of weight really fast. And I was just doing all of the things. And here on the right, that is when I, stepped into my life of recovery. I was arrested in 2018. I was 29 years old. I was pregnant, and it was just horrible. I ended up going to jail, facing a lot of time, but what was so good about it is I found God in there. I met my creator. Gained a relationship with Jesus Christ. And for those of you who follow along my Holy Sabbath podcast, you could really learn a lot more in depth about how the Bible has saved my life. And not only my life, but this precious little girl right here. The Lord gave her to me to have here on earth while I continue to fight my battle of, not going back to addiction or alcoholism, toxic relationships, codependency, all of those things. I mean, I am just so blessed to have her. She's 6 now, almost getting ready to turn 6. So this was probably when she was like 2 or 3. And she was so proud because she was doing her own dishes, and she had to come show me. And so this is just a little precious moment that I wanted to share with those of you who may be watching or listening to this podcast right now at this Factory to Fitness series. Okay, so, I got into recovery. I started working out 3 times a day when I was in jail, just doing squats and leg lifts, whatever I could do to stay active inside those little tiny cells. But it wasn't until a little while after I had Chayla. I was 230 pounds, very unhappy, and I just kind of started to be on fire for fitness. I started doing workouts at my home when Chayla was just a baby. I can remember running around the house with her in my arms, and she would just laugh and laugh, and she was just a little baby. She loved it, but and then I started trying to walk down the driveway, and I just felt like I was gonna die. But my precious mom here, she took me to my very first 5K. I ran it in 36 minutes. This is the very first 8K that I ran in, and I ran it in 55 minutes, and I wanted to beat my time of 1 hour and 15 minutes, and I did that. Holy cow, good for me. I was so proud of myself, but I just became on fire that year for fitness and running. Like I said, I could barely make it down to my driveway without feeling like I was dying. So I would just keep going a little bit farther and farther every day. I would reach that next milestone and just keep trying and keep going. And I ended up finding really good results. As you can see here, this is month 1, day 1. I had already started working out there in that picture on the left, my month 1, day 1. I was, being consistent for a while at this point, doing my at-home workouts and running a lot. And so that wasn't even the biggest, that I was. But holy moly, there on the right, month 6, day 13. This was in 2020. Shout out to Death Proof CrossFit, Recovery Fitness and Training, and my manager at that time, Johnny Hunt from McAllister's. He really inspired me that I could do CrossFit and, become fit. But hey, I went through another spur of where I gained weight again. And as you can see on that top left picture, there were just some areas of my body where I was so uncomfortable. I was a housekeeper for a hotel, and I was very, very active all the time. This was a 100-room hotel, so I was cleaning all day long. But again, I picked up the junk food. I was eating chips and candy and soda, and it just bloated me out. And so I tried it again, and and then this is who I became. I was a manager for a CrossFit gym. I was a volunteer coach for Recovery Fitness and Training for many years. But I lived there at the gym pretty much, and it became my idol. And I had to step down from that, and I had to get a real job where I could start making money and providing for my family. And that is whenever I got a job at Cummins on 3rd shift, and I gained a lot of weight, close to 60 pounds. So this is the girl you see here. This is me now. Okay, so after I did my 79-hour fast, this was my first meal. It's salmon with a little bit of nuts, some avocado, and some pineapple. Now, I had gone to the store without doing a lot of research on fruits, and I bought a bunch of grapes and pineapples and stuff, and I quickly found out, even including this beef stick and cheese stick, I quickly found out that those aren't the best foods to eat. Pineapple is very high in sugar. There's actually like 43 cups of sugar, or grams of sugar, sorry, and 1 cup of pineapple. So I was like, well, that might not be something that I want to continue doing if I'm trying to, lower my sugar intake. My trainer said, do not eat processed foods. Anything in a package, anything in a bag, it might have some good, like labeling on it, but it won't be good for you. And coming up is another really cool thing that I learned in this journey so far. But hey, we all go there, we all drink them. Check this out. Does this look familiar to you? Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Now everybody thinks that they're making a healthy choice when they go here, because they're like, hey, it's a smoothie, it should be healthy. But what people don't realize is when you pulverize your fruit, it actually makes it more like a candy. And I even see a lot of people, they're baking with bananas and using it as a base, but honestly, that's pure sugar. As you can see here, I had the banana chia smoothie from Tropical Smoothie, and it has 128 grams of carbs. Whoa. Not only that, but check out that fat content. 27 grams of fat in this one smoothie. And, that's not even the worst of it. I mean, coming up, just wait and check this out. The sugar intake was 95 grams of sugar in this one smoothie. Can you believe that? Now, I know that there's an option at Tropical Smoothie where you can get no turbinado. And so if you go there and you enjoy, Tropical Smoothie, then I just advise that you take it out the turbinado. Try not to get one that has a lot of fruit in it, because that fruit, once it's pulverized, it becomes like pure sugar. Now, I know they have some really good ones there with like avocados and spinach and things like that, and that might be the healthier option for you. But it really just depends on what your goals are and what you are trying to do in, your life. But hey, whoa, this is like such a punch in the face. Some spring greens and cherry tomatoes. Some really cool facts about tomatoes is it's actually really good for your brain, heart, and gut health. It has a lot of vitamin C and potassium and antioxidants and some folate. I've read some really good research on the purple tomato as well, and they are even thinking it could cure cancer. This is the protein water that I drink. I rely on this as a supplement for my protein intake. The brand that I use, I'll show you a picture of it. It's right here. Glass mug out on my patio, and this is a really good meal with some bacon, mushroom, and chicken. My protein shake brand that I use is also Isopure Zero Carb Protein. Is a very good brand that I like to use. Now here is one of my favorite meals, and again, I have to take in a lot of protein, and this bad boy right here has 78 grams of protein. Okay, so Courtney, how is it that you're calculating up your protein? Well, I will tell you more about that here in just a bit, so you've got to stay tuned and listen to how I memorize all of my protein numbers. Now, don't eat anything processed. Again, depending on what your goals are for your food intake. I thought these Quest chips would be really good for me because they have like 16 or 19 grams of protein in the bag, which could really help me just kind of up that protein that I need intake every meal. But my trainer said not to eat anything in a bag. He said it can never be good for you if it's processed. Now this is a meal for the taking. Chicken, eggs, and avocado. You want to up that protein every meal. And here, this chicken is about 30 grams of protein. 2 eggs will be 12 grams of protein. And the avocado just adds a little bit more fat. Eggs have about 5 grams of fat per egg. So that would be a total of, maybe it's a good amount of fat for that meal. Now here's another really good meal. Turkey, it's carved turkey, pineapple, eggs, and yogurt. Now, I would not suggest putting your pineapple on top of your turkey because it really made mine soggy, but this bad boy has 64 grams of protein. Another really good meal, which you'll see me eating a lot of, is the chicken and the broccoli, the salmon, and the salads. And so that's really what you're going to see a lot of. Now, I did try to eat some steak with some Brussels sprouts, onions, and chipotle sauce, but something really bloated my stomach. It could have been the chipotle, but I'm thinking it may have been the steak. And so here's a really good salad idea. Of course, I add some egg to increase my protein. And then some snacks that I had was, that always add non-Greek, non-fat Greek yogurt to your meals because it will really up that protein. This is a turkey burger with a spinach salad. No bun, of course, and you can have some yellow mustard on that turkey. Now, this used to be a really favorite snack of mine, tuna and salsa, but I haven't been eating it as much. And here is another really good salad idea: spinach and chicken with cucumber. There's some salmon with sweet potato, Brussels sprouts, and a Caesar salad. Some more salmon with romaine. And you guys, I hope that this really helps you out, that you are able to learn a little bit of something from my meal ideas and that you can carry it on with you into your own home. So I hope you enjoyed listening in on this. Have a great day.